So I have a confession to make. I think Silksong is very difficult. Way more difficult than I expected it to be. I find myself apologizing to Hornet. Like I'm saying I'm sorry to her. I don't know how to be better. I'm cheeks. I'm ass. I'm not very good at this game. I'm sorry, but I take full accountability. It's me. It's not you, Hornet. I promise. You're fine. And some people are even claiming that the game is more difficult than Elden Ring was. And just like Elden Ring, it's cracking open that age-old argument of should games have easy modes. Hi, I'm AGA, and this is how I made my YouTube username. I'm nearly halfway to my big goal here, and I appreciate anybody that considers subscribing. We all remember the controversy of Elden Ring's DLC being too difficult. Now, once you finally earned the right to enter the DLC, then you had scatter tree fragments that were dispersed throughout the map. The more you consumed, the more the game felt manageable because they were just an instant power-up boost that made the game's difficulty kind of its own little slider. That was your easy mode. And I talk about this because Silksong also offers a lot of tools for you to make the game more manageable. Like, sure, if you're going through a maze and you just decide to bust through the walls, like that's one way to get to the finish line, but it's not how it's intended. A really good example is VGC's review for Silksong. They give it a 3 out of 5. Silksong is a game that intends to make you suffer even to its own detriment. Team Cherry's sequel has a clear mission statement but doesn't seem to consider the consequences. What worsens this is the nature of most encounters as sheer endurance tests. Rarely is Hollow Knight Silksong actually testing your skills, it's testing your patience. Then they use Hunter's March as an example of kind of what I was just talking about, smashing your head against the wall instead of going off to explore. And following that statement, with the consequence of punishing design like this, the exploration often feels more terrifying than exciting, with your brain firmly grasping onto the memory of how long ago the last bench was. I think one of my comments said it best. It almost sounds like a compliment to people that like this type of game. It's the identity of the game. It's plastered all over Steam. It literally says difficult and Souls-like in the tags before you click purchase. And as a reviewer, I feel like you have a responsibility to know who the demographic and the target audience is. Like, bonfire checkpoints as benches seems not only like something we did in Hollow Knight, but something that seems very Souls-like-esque. Difficult bosses that you need to respect and not just button mash your way through. That is a Souls-like recipe. The same with exploration. You need to be methodical and careful. You can't just bulldoze through an entire trash mob and expect not to have consequences. Difficult games are made to be played way differently than something that you just go off and explore. And I think this is the unfortunate side effect of people thinking that just because a game is popular and exciting means that it's instantly for them. We had the same problem with Elden Ring. Obviously, I'm using Shadow of the Erdtree as an example, but it makes sense to. Because we had Hollow Knight to preface this very difficult game, and Hollow Knight obviously wasn't this difficult, but it was no cakewalk. Unfortunately, I think people saw this cute little bug in a 2D Metroidvania little hand-drawn environment and just assumed that it was a game that they would enjoy without reading the tags. The game is not going to put the bumper plates on your bowling match. You're going to hit a lot of gutter balls before you even tap a pin. I've been seeing people ask for like a universal call for easy modes in games like this for accessibility reasons. I hate to be cliche and quote the Helldivers devs, but a game for everyone is a game for no one. When you cast a wide net like that, you will ultimately take away from what makes the game excellent. And if the reason for accessibility is just FOMO and everybody diving on a game that seems like it's popular and fun to find out it's not for you, then I have to strongly disagree. Hypothetically, the gaming industry instates this new easy mode mandate. Just like ESRB, in order to be on shelves or sell inside of a marketplace, you need to have accessibility options. If I'm a developer trying to make a high difficulty game stuck with that situation, the first thing I'm doing is making that base easy mode as hard as Sekiro was. And now suddenly that easy mode is just a redundant checkbox to put on the list of things that I need to do on the back end to make my game push to the public. So like this whole like push for all games need easy modes would never work. And with that said, I don't think that Silksong can go without feedback. No game can go without feedback. Just because it's difficult does not mean that it's going to be fun. Rotating back to Shadow of the Erdtree DLC, they did make tweaks, but they made good tweaks. Shadow of the Erdtree started by the scatter tree fragments being really buffed up in the beginning and the efficacy kind of like tapering off toward the end. They started you out with a really bulky foundation of being stronger the more you took, and then, they kind of tapered off. You build up a tolerance, you get immune to them a little. This way, players do not disengage instantly, and they also get more confidence exploring while finding things that will help them break those walls. I think nerfing some of the early bosses in Silksong is exactly the same thing. Because once you get past a few bosses, places like Hunter's March, you go back to and you play in stride. You don't push your head against the wall, you bust it open because things have unlocked for you. Miyazaki himself, the king of difficult games, but tastefully difficult games, basically stated that the difficulty of a game shouldn't leave a player upset with the game itself. Like, a player should always be pointing at themselves for their own faults for how they navigate through the game. And the fault should never be, well, the game just sucks, or the game is just way too ridiculously hard, or the way the game is being difficult is unfun. Because once you break through that barrier and you figure it out, you have that aha moment and you go back to that boss and you beat its ass. You get this euphoric boost of like not only just relief, but of like self-confidence that you just simply don't get from other games. And I know that sounds like super Giga Chad energy and it sounds like I suck at this game. I'm not good, but as long as the game remains tasteful, and I do have my moments that I won't give spoilers to, but I do think some of the stuff in this game is just maybe a little distasteful. But in the grand scheme of things, the game is very well done. I'm enjoying it. I don't think the level of difficulty is like unbearable, insufferable, or something that should turn anyone away from the game, as long as you just know what you're getting yourself into. So if you guys enjoy my content with both short form and long form, please make sure you hit the subscribe button. Please hit that little thumbs up button because the algorithm's been kind of weird lately, and please make sure that you consider subscribing, guys. Peace, have a great day, and VGC.